As we can see here, still need to clean it up a bit. Mold lines, some knobs, seams. The main problem here is the knobs. Even though Bandai says it on the menu, you don't need any tool to take out the parts. And you know, that's true, but only in the condition that you don't mind having these quite atrocious knobs. This part on the top of the shield is alright, just some leftover there. Scrap that off using a hobby knife, then sand it a bit. But on the side of the shield, this area got a little dent on there, which means it requires to be filled up and then sand it. Something you won't need to do if you just, used a nipper in the first place. Of course, not everyone minds this kind of defect, but if you do mind them, use a nipper. Use a sponge sandpaper and curve it a bit if the part needs sanding is not flat. From 600 to 800 to 1000. 1000 is usually my maximum. At this point, there won't be any scratches after applying paint. What I'm using to fill out the seam is baby powder with super glue. It's not actual baby powder I'm using here. This is a special made stuff that are designed to work more stable, and the right color makes it easy to inspect comparing to the milk white of most baby powder. Unfortunately, this is also a pretty local stuff, but if you want to try to use this method, just search baby powder with super glue on YouTube. Tons of tutorials there. I don't like my V-fins very sharp and lengthy, so I'm just gonna cut off the chunk and sand it a bit, not too much. The head got a lot of curves and round surfaces, a bit time consuming to deal with. However, it is much better than most high-grade kits. A lot of high-grade Gundam have that head with one part front, one part behind, and you need to push them together, and if you want to deal with the seam line, it's a whole hassle. This is a much better sanding experience. For the white parts, I'm using Mr. Hobby C35. It's just a light gray. It doesn't really matter which specific paint you use, as long as it's light gray, it will work. While using white to do highlighting, I will usually to thin it more, with the ratio of already thinned paint 1 and thinner 1. This way, the paint can be sprayed out more smoothly in low air pressure. What I put in here is a bit too much, so it's very thin and doesn't cover up the gray beneath it well. I did it the right way later, using light gray with very thin white, guaranteeing smooth transition between shadows and highlights. If you use something like black and white, that will cause a lot of sparkles, tiny little dots in between your shadow and highlight. That is something I try to avoid with any type of gradient, including shading. With the inner area of the thrusters, I like to paint them red. But first, we need to apply a layer of white. Why red? I like the contrast and overall feel it brings to the table. And for some unknown reason, a lot of rocket thrusters paint the red just like this. I don't know why. One Google search didn't give me any answer, so if you know, please inform me. With gray, it's just dark gray as shadow, neutral gray as highlight. In order to mask these thrusters, I first cut out a circle bigger than these thrusters in diameter. Then do a cut from the center of that masking tape. Use tweezers to fold it like this. Put it on. Why not just use a flat piece of tape and put it on? Because if you do that, the bottom rim of the thrusters will still be red, which is a bit weird looking, and that won't be very sturdy. It is quite likely to get blown off while spraying. I'm hand brushing this white part because I thought it's quicker this way. Then I realized this is white we are talking about. There's no way for me to quickly just hand paint some white on dark gray. Just in case if you don't know, white and yellow are two of the weakest colors when it comes to coverage. With most other colors requiring 3 to 4 layers of paint to cover the base, white could use up to 10-20 layers just to look smooth. As you can see here, the first few layers can't cover up the dark gray at all. I should have sprayed it and masked it. Well, it's a bit too late to say that, isn't it? I also used some rose gold. Though it is called gold, it resembles copper more. For the yellow parts, white base is still needed. I don't want a pure yellow for this one, so I'm adding 2 drops of orange into the mix. Warmer yellow works better in my own opinion, of course. Due to the fact yellow can cover nothing, I am not doing shading first, highlight later. This is the highlight. After applying it, add a few drops of orange into the mix. Use this as post shading. With most Japanese airbrush, taking off the tip can improve your accuracy by a little bit. Doing this will make your needle vulnerable, so be careful. I usually use brown for the panel lining on the yellow parts. With the final matte coat, these ones are done. However, there are still some yellow missing, not much, just the back skirt armor and both sides of the arms. We do the same thing mixing yellow and orange. To be honest, these parts will look better if I just spread them and mask them, but I want to show you guys how do I hand paint details. This boxing is called a wet palette. A tool helps paint to not dry up so quickly. It's essentially just a box with sponge, cloth, and a layer of parchment paper on top. You can DIY it if you want to. Since the part is white, I don't need to apply white again. Still, this yellow-orange mixture takes many layers to be good. Then I'm painting the middle areas black. Not much to say. Painting black is pretty easy. I used the red and green metallic markers from Mr. Hobby. I like them a lot. The reason I'm using a brush is because, well, I can't exactly put that big marker head on these areas, can I? I like to use dark gray panel liner for white parts. Less contrast makes the whole build more harmonic in my opinion. Some will see this as a bit dirty, but I like it. While I was brushing off the excess panel liner, some of the paints are chipped off. This is most likely caused by grease on my hands getting attached to the gun while assembling, and I didn't brush them off. This is just a minor setback. Sand the part a bit, repaint it, then everything is good. Wait, stickers. I used a bit of water and dipped them in. Why water when it is not decals? Well, this can prevent it from sticking to the surface instantly, giving you more time to adjust the position of the sticker. If you don't dip it in water, any slight mistake in positioning will be much harder to rectify later. Also put on a layer of matte clear to erase that sticker shine. This comes out really good. The shading worked and all the details are rather nice. These entry-grade kits have details comparable to most modern-day high-grade and much better than the old ones, with assembling design much improved and the whole building and painting experience a lot smoother, especially with the head. No front and back snap, no need to deal with atrocious seams, just a soothing build to do. And you know, if you can find one that is priced right, get it, you won't regret it. And that's about it. It has been a quite rough week for me, so I hope I will see you soon.